welcome to Module 6.3. We're going to be talking about NFTs in the realm of research and in the realm of near, but specifically, in my opinion, trying to get a better understanding of NFTs. What does it even mean for something to be an NFT? I know, like, my mom, for example, has purchased NFTs. She has made NFTs, but I don't think she understands what an NFT is and like why it's so special or important in the Web3 space. So we're going to be talking about that a bit today and talking a bit about how that might pertain to research. For today's class, we've been sharing this lesson plan for quite a while now, but the idea is to get an understanding of NFT fundamentals, to learn about the NFT ecosystem on Near, particularly via mintbase. I mean, microchip will be kind of showing us why kind of the mintbase story is so important, and understanding what mintbase provides to Near is kind of tangential or kind of synonymous. It goes alongside with understanding NFTs on Near, and like how Near is trying to solve maybe some of the problems in the NFT space. The whole market trend side, we've kind of showed where to look at market trends on Boss, for example, like Near Atlas, and looking into different marketplaces. A little bit less into this, but there is one paper I wanted to talk about, which I think does touch on a little bit about kind of the practical use cases a bit more. Past modules for review is all of them. I did kind of skip over the class we had on gaming, because it wasn't kind of in order that way. So if someone comes into the class 3 weeks from now, they hopefully get it in order. But there is this paper that I did think was relatively interesting. Blockchain NFTs, time-bound access. But the idea was to talk about how, again, the real-world use case of NFTs. Many people are trying to figure out, how can blockchain be used in real-world settings. NFTs are kind of, in the last bull market, many of us have heard NFTs being, touted as like the next big thing. It was a household kind of topic that everyone was talking about, and but the most people's understanding of NFTs were this PFP collection potentially, or some people kind of got into NFTs with gaming, which we talked about last week. But there are some other use cases, or some like blockchain-based use cases that many people are thinking about as well. So I'll kind of just read through this, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll kind of move into like how Ethereum thinks about NFTs, or how they got started, how Near kind of thought about it a little bit, and we'll move into kind of presentation from Lewis. So digital data has enabled organizations to anticipate future threats, opportunities, and trends. However, digital data owners do not know how their data is accessed, shared, and monetized. I think that's like the key area where we're thinking about blockchain a lot of times. One of the key use cases of blockchain has been, this digital money, this, money that's verifiable and outside of governments. In this paper, we propose using blockchain technology and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, to enable time-bound access and monetization of private data. So the idea is, by using NFTs, they're allowing people to, yes, you can look at my private data, but only for a certain period of time, only when you have access. And then, maybe you could have some financial transaction happening as well as the data is being accessed. Our approach allows users to upload encrypted content, right? So this content is private, and mint it onto NFTs. Other users can access the NFT's content by requesting a purchase or a license. So this goes into another real world use case of licensing. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to use NFTs and mix it with music sync licensing, which is a huge market globally. Purchasing content transfers the ownership of the NFTs to the buyer, whereas licensing them permits accessing the private data for a limited period of time, after which the data gets automatically deleted. Our developed approach uses a decentralized application, Dapps. Again, so the idea is, when you're kind of writing this, and the idea of when you guys think about writing your projects, you can't always assume everyone knows this, what you know. When you're bringing up topics for the first time, it's really helpful to abbreviate these topics. The next time you refer to them, you can kind of refer to them in their short form. But again, showing where you got your information from, using explaining what terms mean is always pretty important. So they have a Dapps. They're using proxy encryption. They're using IPFS, the interplanetary file system. They implemented a proof of concept in an Ethereum-based environment, right? So ERC 721, which is used for testing and vulnerability checks. We present the cost and security analysis and discuss the generalization aspect of the solution. Our smart contracts and testing scripts are publicly available under open source license. So again, I kind of showed this paper because it does kind of pertain to, like, you could follow along, you could try and, run smart contracts on like Ethereum or Aurora, and you could try and build, a private application like this. The Marma J Foundation actually has something built very similarly on Near, actually, where you can purchase an NFT. It gives you access to some encrypted data. We haven't built in all like the other parts of it, like when you remove the NFT and like safety checks of like the data being deleted and licensing. All very interesting stuff though, and I think like having papers written about it really validates kind of that like other researchers are thinking about an idea. Something to think about as well as you guys work on your projects. I think one of the key things to understand when it comes to understanding NFTs is like where they came from and like what was, I guess, maybe the problem that was trying to be solved. Like, so when I try to, so there's a whole NFT standard. So if you go to the, they have a lot of EIPs, right? Ethereum Improvement Proposals, and EIP 721. And so it doesn't mean it's the 721st. It just means that when there was GitHub PRs put up, they tick up by one, and this is just the one that stuck for this EIP, and it became the EIP for NFTs. People have this tattooed on themselves. People like love NFTs. But anyways, again, we have a nice abstract, and it's kind of talking about, what the NFT is, what it could be used for. It gives a nice little description of an NFT. The way the standard works, it kind of creates a standard API, which just means a way to interact with in a specified way, so everyone can interact in the same way. So what this did was it allowed for projects all around the blockchain space, all around the Ethereum space, to interact with physical assets or visual assets in the same way. So just like when you have fungible tokens, like you have USDC or USDT or all these stable coins that allowed us to interact on exchanges on chain in like a simplified, unified way. NFT standards allow us to do the same thing with visual assets. And so we considered use cases for NFTs being owned and transacted by individuals, as well as consignment to third party, like brokers, wallets, auctioneers, like Mintbase, for example, like a marketplace. NFTs can present ownership over digital physical assets. We consider a diverse universe of assets. We know you will dream of many more. So they're almost talking to the community as they create this, saying, we know that we're just creating a specification, and you guys will do so much more with it. So physical property, virtual collectibles, negative value assets like loans, and stuff like that. So NFTs are just meant to be this kind of representation of something on chain. And I think this is kind of a really good, when someone asks, what is an NFT? Like, how do you know it's unique? Well, the idea is all houses are distinct and no two kittens are alike. NFTs are distinguishable, right? You must track the ownership of each one separately. So what makes an NFT unique and special is that you're using the blockchain, to kind of track this thing, but there's only one of them. They are unique and they're all specific and differentiable, distinguishable. And so motivation, the idea was that, a standard interface for this type of stuff, so like brokers and auctions, would work with any NFT on Ethereum. And so the idea is that, they already have the EIP20, but it's insufficient. The idea is they're saying that distinguishability feature was the main motivation. They needed a way to have these new assets tracked and brought to the blockchain. And that's all about Ethereum. That's great. Ethereum started it. They realized that this was needed for a Turing-based, Turing complete blockchain. Well, 3 years kind of passed, a nice little history lesson, since ERC 721 was ratified by Ethereum. And then this is kind of like after NFTs have proven to be useful. So after CryptoKitties broke Ethereum, after, a lot of the early hype of NFTs, we understand NFTs are useful, they're meant to stay. But there's been some lessons learned, and maybe with Ethereum, things are really hard to change or to add on to. But we were able, with this standard, they're able to build something new. So, or Near was a bit different. So, some things were just different, like Near had an asynchronous runtime, meant that two actions can happen at the same time. So in Ethereum, everything is autonomous. So everything's happening in like the same, it's kind of confusing, I guess, when you're used to near things potentially, but everything's happening in the same instant, like multiple things happening and like the state. Okay, anyways, I don't want to go too technical, but anyways, the main difference in Ethereum near is Ethereum is atomic, everything happens at the same time, and near is asynchronous, where things are happening, two contracts executing at the same time in different shards, and you don't know what the truth is till the next like a chunk or block. Near also has storage staking, which can make things complicated as well. Just to keep it simple, on Near, like whenever you buy an NFT, for example, even if the NFT is free, so you'll notice the NFT that we have for our charter is free, but when you buy it, you still have to stake some storage. To add some storage to the contract so that it can keep, they're kind of paying for the validators to keep hold of that stake. So that was kind of one of the main things that was needed. And I think one of the main things as well that was added, I'm not going to go through too much of this, I think it's a long document, I don't want to go forever, but was also the idea of adding royalties to the contract as well. And I think there's a different royalty standard that was added here. So yeah, NEP 199 kind of added onto it. But I do think it was really cool how on Near there's a royalty standard, which in my opinion, again, brings these digital blockchain assets a bit closer to the real world and a bit closer to kind of what we're seeing in these papers of like, how can the real world actually use blockchain and NFTs, not just in a paper where it's talked about, but actually in a commercial setting where real people are using it on a daily basis. This page here is a great start. Just read through it. Even if you don't understand all of it, even if it's a bit technical, like these parts, I know it gets quite a bit technical, but there are definitions, they try and give them on top. You can read, you can use like GPT-4, GPT 3.5 to kind of explain things to you. And there's, other things. So you can kind of go through all of the proposals, and then you can kind of start reading through like different people that have worked on them. Vitalik's written some. You can kind of have quite a bit of, and they skip. So it's not like you have to read through hundreds. Can skip through. Same for Ethereum. Near. You can read through a lot of the different things that are going on Near, learn a bit more about it, and learn more about like the different standards that exist in the ecosystem.
So I'm Luis. I've been with Mintbase for about 3 years, but my work with NFTs started a bit before that. So Chloe talked about the CryptoKitties and the Ethereum standard, and that's probably when I started working in crypto and with NFTs. And it was mostly because of like CryptoKitties were, just this new exciting thing everyone was talking about on the internet. When I realized that this was a smart contract, and what exactly is a smart contract, and that this thing cannot be stopped, and all the execution and everything that happens in the contract is visible to everyone, like watching the chain, or like even watching an explorer that indexes what's happening in the chain. That kind of like made a lot of sense to me. And the fact that these tokens or these things could be not only kitties, but like could become something much, much larger than just like game assets, And I think that's kind of like what I want to talk a bit about today, like the different use cases, the different things people are building, and hopefully inspire some of you to start your journey, or if you already started your journey with NFTs, keep exploring and keep building stuff. Yeah, I joined Mintbase 3 years ago, so pretty much when Mintbase joined Near, but the history of Mintbase starts a bit before that. Mintbase started on Ethereum in 2018, so a bit after the first standard was drafted and implemented by several parties. But Mintbase has been trying to find, back in the day, like it was a platform for like deploying smart contracts, like NFT smart contracts, but it was hard to like find a use case. So Mintbase was very excited for ticketing solutions and ended up like doing ticketing for a couple of events like NFT NYC and a few others. But throughout this time, like Mintbase became sort of like a popular NFT factory on Ethereum with more than 1,000 contracts deployed. And the fact that it became so popular was that it was using the standards that Chloe just mentioned. So, by using the standards, platforms like OpenSea and others could index and show and provide utility to these tokens that people were minting at Mintbase. The problem was like 2 years after Mintbase launched, Ethereum gas fees went up, probably because of chain usage, and that's a big problem on Ethereum. And this way, like Mintbase could not really keep giving a good user experience, or even a user experience at all. Like it's very, very pricey to deploy your contract, or even mint tokens, things like that. So Nate, our co-founder, looked into alternatives, and the alternative that Nate decided to pursue was Near, because Near, again, like offered lower fees, the promise of scalability through sharding, allowed people to write contracts in Rust or assembly script as long as it compiles down to WASM, and there's the Near SDK that supports that. Today, you can even use JavaScript to write these contracts. A lot of other advanced features that I'll probably talk a bit today. But the problem was that Near didn't really have the standards or the infrastructure or even an ecosystem at all. Like 3 years ago, it was like very, very small group of people. And well, mintbase with others kind of helped shaping a bit of this. So we built a lot of the infrastructure needed for the NFT space. We helped a lot with the standards. So the NEP 141, or no, not 141, 171. I cannot even like memorize all these numbers, but the NFT standard on Near was kind of like, we worked on that. And then the goal is like build out an ecosystem and build products or use cases around like these NFTs or support people doing that. NFTs can really represent anything digitally, right? So again, it could be your house loan, or it could be a music file, or it could be any virtual good, or anything eventually in the real world that can be expressed as a digital good. Could be using NFTs for this. So there's a really wide array of digital forms and functions for these tokens. At Mintbase, we had our first grants cohort this year, and our goal was to like find different teams and different projects that could build things with these, like different things with these tokens. And I just want to like mention a few of these projects. One was NamesSky, pretty popular on Near now, for you to trade your Near account as an NFT. So the Near accounts aren't NFTs, but they found a way to like transform your account into an NFT, and then that can be sold in any marketplace, or transferred as an NFT. So you can like transform your account and send it to someone else as a gift. That's pretty cool. Then we also had Explorins, exploring the 3D space. So minting these tokens as 3D assets that then could be 3D printed through their platform. But the goal was to like, you could view the 3D asset before printing it. And it's just a new concept for what these tokens could look like. And again, as Chloe mentioned, image licensing, that's something that Slick is still working on and figuring out how, media professionals can license their work through NFTs. So let's say you take a picture at a sports event or something, and then you can license your image for other media platforms to use. So through the blockchain. But really the exciting part about all of these is that these tokens and these standards and like all of this jargon we talk about is that it gives us like three core things that I find like the most important. That is composability, interoperability, and openness, right? So what exactly is all of this? I think like composability is the ability for you to like build complex systems from simple building blocks. And each NFT could be seen as one building block, right? So since NFTs can be so many different things and take so many different forms, you could build, very just complex things from small and simple tokens. Then interoperability means that if you mint a token with Mintbase, you cannot only view it at Mintbase, as long as like other platforms are indexing the NFTs on Near or really like, it doesn't really even matter if it's Mintbase or Near. It's just like the concept of like the tokens is that like they can be used anywhere, right? As long as they support the functionality for transferring, viewing, and accessing these different tokens. And then the openness is just like, it's transparent, public, and very inclusive digital economy, right? So anything that happens, there's no gates. Like no one can say like, you cannot use my NFT. Like, as long as you own it, like you can do pretty much whatever you want with it and build things around it. So that's pretty powerful. And yeah. Diving a bit now into like what Near's trying to build, I wanted to show you near.org. I'm pretty sure like most of you have already played around with it, But the really nice thing about near.org and the whole blockchain operating system or open web stack is that all of these different components you see on the screen, like this component, this button, this profile picture, pretty much everything is front-end code that is stored on chain. And this also allows, like for the same things I mentioned before, the composability, the interoperability of these front-end components. You can build something much, much bigger, similarly to how NFTs work. And now I just wanted to pay attention a little to the sidebar. The sidebar is one of the experiments we built at Mintbase, and the picture in the middle is an NFT actually. So you can take a picture, and then the person who took the previous picture before you gets your picture. And all of this is done through NFTs and composed with the blockchain operating system. I think it's pretty cool. I just wanted to mention this before I dive a little bit more into all of these use cases. Traditionally, these decentralized apps are built like this, right? So you have the source code and the assets, and pretty much like everything is stored in the Web 2 fashion. So you store it on a file system that you can own, or like you delegate that to AWS or whatever. And then you have an indexer that captures several events from the blockchain. These events then that are captured then store some data on the indexer database, and then your DApp or decentralized app will consume the data from the indexer database. But on Near, like things that we're trying to build now are looking more like this, right? So you can encapsulate like indexer logic and what indexer does, and also the source code for your app on the same layer. So you would probably store this on the blockchain, and then most of the assets you would store on like a decentralized storage system like Arweave or IPFS and these things. And this way we're like decentralizing a bit more and allowing other people to compose with your apps in a more easy way, right? People talk about indexers all the time, and I think that they're pretty simple in the way they work. So when you write a smart contract and you specify like a message that once your transaction is executed, it will log or will emit a message, right? And the message can have a certain format. So in this case, it's a JSON format. And it will have like a bunch of data or like relevant data to this transaction. So indexers can like look at this transaction and say, all right, I kind of understand what's going on here. Let me store this information so others can consume that. So essentially it's just, I'm looking into my notes now, but essentially it's just capturing and organizing events in a more structured way. A small showcase of how this works. So let's say you see an NFT mint and the format is is a JSON format. Then it will store in my database like token 1 was just minted on contract XYZ and the owner is A, right? But then if it sees like an NFT burn event, it will add like a record into my token and saying like, this is no longer accessible, this was burnt. So everyone knows like this was already burnt, so you cannot really use this token anymore. So if the indexer captures another event called NFT mint, then we add a new token to the database, like token number 2, because number 1 was already taken. And then if it sees a transfer, we will just change like who was the previous owner. So previous owner was A, the new owner is B. So this is just like a diagram of how all of this works. With Mintbase, we provide like a lot of this data through our graph or graph.mintbase.xyz. It's an indexer database. We support like both mainnet and testnet. So that's useful for developers building apps. And the way for you to consume this data is by using GraphQL. So it's very JSON-alike. So it looks like JSON. You can express like exactly what you want. So for this query, I want tokens. I want to see who the owner is, the contract in which it was minted, then maybe like the media or the token ID, right? And the result would look like this. So it's very simple to the request, but then you would have actual data that you could use to build your app. On Near, gladly, like finally, we're starting to see more indexer infrastructure being built. So Query API is one of the really nice products that's being built by, I'm not even sure who's building this. I think it's Pagoda maybe. But the goal is for you to store again, like all of this indexer logic and all of this indexer information on chain. So if others want to build, a similar indexer but they're not really sure how to do it, they can just look at your indexer maybe and like take some information from there and remix it and build their own indexer. Or yeah, you can just like use someone else's indexer and build your app on top of it. Yeah, so if you're a developer, Mintbase also provides a bunch of different things that I find interesting for a lot of different use cases. We have RPC, data, auth, React, wallet, storage. I don't know, like so many packages to make it easy for developers using JavaScript to build on. We're trying to make it easy for non-developers even to like deploy their apps. So we just started like recently to build out a more cohesive and structured template page. And the goal is for anyone to like go on and deploy their own, let's say, marketplace, or deploy their own minter, or deploy their own Stripe checkout. That's one I've been working on now. And really like the goal, this is just to showcase a little bit of what's coming in the future. But yeah, so this is good for both developers that want to start working, but they're not really sure how to build this stuff, and they can look into the examples, or we will provide good enough use cases already built out so anyone can just come and say, I want to build this. And ideally, very simple to tweak if you want to tweak something like the style or the text or things like that. Especially with like ChatGPT these days, like it's so easy to just try and code and do this stuff. So yeah, affiliate direct. A lot of the things we've heard from people like trying to use NFTs and trying to use mintbase and trying to figure out how to benefit from like the whole NFT space. One of the biggest problems is generally like how to create a business model around this that isn't a scam, right? We tried to like look into this problem, and the idea we came up with was like affiliate direct. And affiliate direct is essentially an affiliate program for NFTs. And the goal of this program is that you can simply share the market fee with the marketplace contract, right? So right now, Mintbase will take 2.5% for any sale on the marketplace. And with the affiliate direct, you can just easily like input your affiliate ID, which is your account, your Near account. And that way you will get half of the market fee. So this is quite interesting because can not only promote like your own tokens. Let's say you have a community, you could be promoting like someone else's token in your community. Then you would be, getting 1.25% of the market fee. This would also work for like DAOs or things like any Near account basically. We have this example like the NFT marketplace that uses the affiliate direct. With this marketplace example, you can just select which contracts you want to showcase in the token contract address, and also like which account is getting the affiliate fee. So let's say you can fork this, make it your own, share it on Near social or near.org or whatever gateway you use. And then if anyone like goes through it and buy it, you get like the affiliate fee. So you don't have to like code or do like crazy stuff. It should be super simple. Yeah, we tried this earlier this year. We tried to do like this experiment with a few folks from the Near space. We had like 2 successes, I would say. So one was Tradeport, which focuses on aggregating markets. They have like a bunch of markets on Near, but also like other chains. And then we had like MetaMeech. MetaMeech was like an independent developer that like created this website and added several links to NFTs he was promoting, not really like his own, but like other people in the community that he wanted to promote. And then he earned fees by like selling their NFTs through his website. Tradeport did something similar, but the thing is like if you would go on Tradeport and try to find like the a PFP that you want for the best price, maybe if it was the best price was on Mintbase, we would be sharing like the market fee with Tradeport, and yeah, that's how the affiliate direct would work. Why would you want your own market on here? Well, first because open web is cool, but most importantly because you have full control over your marketplace, and it's fully customizable. Then it's unstoppable. No one can like say, oh, you cannot sell this thing, or maybe you want to sell this thing. So it's like, it's your own. You can, just dictate the rules. And it's a highly composable application, so especially on Near, since all of these applications are built as components. Let's say your marketplace is so cool that you get featured on someone else's marketplace. I don't know, just an idea. But the thing is like, this is highly composable, and you have an embedded business model. And this was like a thing that a lot of people asked us to do. And like we figured out this is a big problem for most creators, right? No one really is born with like an idea of a business model. And I've been building apps for so long, and I generally struggle the most with like how to make a business model, you know? And there's a lot of other experiments I wanted to talk about too. And all of these are NFT related, so it makes sense. But, you know, one of the other experiments I've worked on was Minsta. And Minsta stemmed from minting Instagram, but now it makes more sense to say minting in an instant, because it's really the goal is to like simplify the NFT creation experience to make it as quick and as intuitive as possible. And everyone knows like how to share something on social media these days, right? So we tried to replicate a bit of the whole, you know, social media experience. You get like a very simple app. You have the feed where you can scroll through mints or tokens minted by on Minsta, and then you have the camera, and you can just take a picture, mint a token, and it will show up in the main feed. So this is very, very cool because most users get this, and it's a very fun and simple experience. But by deploying this at like 10 plus crypto conferences, we learn a bunch of things. So we've learned that not a lot of people have access to accounts with funds. And this is a big problem when you're like asking these people to, you need some money to mint a token on my platform, right? Or on my app. Then we also learned there's a bunch of crypto curious people that don't really have crypto yet, or they're just like interested in the topic, but don't really know or have used apps before, these sort of apps before. There's also like people afraid, and I think this is probably should be in the first place, because most people are afraid to connect accounts to some random app. You know, like I just show up and say, oh, do you want to connect to my app? Well, what's your app about, right? So you don't want to like share your account details. You don't want to like engage in that app. So this is pretty wise to do. Funniest one is ledgers at home. This definitely sounds like an excuse, but probably isn't. I've heard this many, many times, and I think there are like folks in the space that only engage with apps through ledgers, and they keep their ledgers safe and secure. But yeah, so we took all of these learnings and we changed a bunch of these things. So we made it very simple to create accounts. So onboarding is very important, and especially, you know, NFTs are definitely a good way to onboard people, but then like the whole onboarding to crypto is a big mess. And we've tried to change a few things and learn how we could improve this stuff. So we made it easy to people to create accounts with human readable names. We made it possible to like mint tokens with no funds. And maybe we take a few seconds if you guys want to check out like minsta.mintbase.xyz and just try to mint something there. If you don't have the Mintbase wallet yet, it takes a few seconds to set up one. But yeah, minsta.mintbase.xyz would be a good place to start and see these sort of experiments we've been working on. And if you're a developer and you're interested in this stuff, this is also open source. We've seen a few community forks coming to life, like Proof of Vibes. They've deployed their own, and they've been cranking hard on minting these tokens everywhere. A few other events with the most recent minsta version we have. And NearCon as well. So NearCon was like the latest one. A lot of these learnings led us to figure out like how to onboard people and how to make these things the best and the easiest way possible. And we figured out that maybe we should try and build a wallet, right? So why not? And well, the wallet is very focused on a few things like meta transactions. And meta transactions literally mean that you can sign a transaction and delegate someone else to like pay for you to submit to the chain. Basically, that's it. So we built out meta transactions into the wallet. So anyone can like go through Minsta, or eventually, other developers in the space might be wanting to use this. Actually, the wallet made it to the wallet selector yesterday or Monday. So it's very recent for us, but so you can just onboard new users. They don't need like Near, they don't need to like, you don't have to force users to like go through the hurdles of exchanges and things like that. Then it also focuses on security, so use web authorization, passkeys to store the keys very securely on the user's device, and human readable names. I mean, this is part of the Near for as long as I remember, and we just made it possible to do it the same way on our wallet solution. Why is this important? And why I think Near provides like one of the best and robust account systems in all of the crypto space. Well, because it allows us the user create several key pairs through different devices, right? One of the big questions we generally have is like, oh, but if I create my account, and this is like coming from people not on the Near space yet, but like they're curious, or like they already have been engaging with other chains, and they are generally like, they find it a bit suspicious to use our wallet because we store it on the device, and they're like, oh, maybe you're gonna take my key or my secret key or something like that. But the cool thing about Near is that it allows us to create several key pairs, or you're in control. So the user is in control to create these different key pairs for mobile, for laptop, and then we just use that to like sign transactions and submit those transactions, especially the meta transactions. But the problem is like, oh, if your mobile is lost, but you still have your laptop on, that's no problem. You can use your laptop to kill or annihilate the key pair on your mobile phone, and once you get a new one, you can generate a new one for your mobile phone. That's not a problem. And this is all facilitated by industry standards like web authorization, passkeys, which work very nicely for this. And then if you don't really trust an app you're connecting to, you might be wanting to just use a function call key, which just gives like very limited permissions to the app you're connecting to. We're still like very focused on the onboarding experience, and the next plans for us is to let users use everyday language for everything. And the recent conversation about AI and how AI can like be used for pretty much everything in our lives, we started focusing a bit on how to make it possible for users to engage with NFTs and blockchain through AI. And we've learned a bit about function calling. Function calling is a way for us to convert natural language, so English, Portuguese, Spanish, into API calls or database queries, like technical stuff, or even like extract structured data from text. And I'm going to show you like what this looks like in a second. But we've launched 2 plugins for ChatGPT, so action and search. And essentially what I was just talking about was you can ask like the ChatGPT or any AI that kind of implements the same solution, give me all the tokens owned by one account, right? And this, if you remember like a few slides ago when I mentioned GraphQL and indexers and all this stuff, well, you don't even need to think about it anymore, right? I've been very lazy about this stuff because since I've been gotten access to writing natural language to get some data from the chain, I just like express it in English or Portuguese and I get like the same result. So essentially, like this, give me all tokens owned by one account would be translated to this query, and then this is the textual response, which is very, very exciting. Then not only that, but you can also say, I want to send a token, and this will be converted into an on-chain transaction, right? So you don't see, the signing and submitting here because we had to change a few things since I made this slide, but yeah, so you're in control now. You'll be able to submit the transaction and sign it yourself. And yeah, we had to build our own solution because of this. So OpenAI doesn't really allow us to submit transactions on mainnet. So we had to go and figure out ourselves how to do this on our own. And we built ai.mintbase.xyz. It uses ChatGPT 4 Turbo. So it's free for everyone, to use. For now, it's pretty limitless. It's in beta, but we'll figure out like what this would look like in the future. And the goal is to introduce some sort of some sort of solution to for you to pay some tokens or something to use more costly chats. And yeah, how does this look like? Well, you can just say, for example, what's my account, and it uses function calling to get your account details. So my account in this time was like microchip.mintbase, and I had some balance. Then I asked, do I own any tokens? And it's based on the context we provided, it knows exactly we're talking about NFTs here. So it goes on and generates that graphical query, submits it, and then it got like, yes, you have 24 tokens. And then I want to see more specific information about the tokens I own, and I can say, all right, so now just show me details about these tokens. It keeps the context. This is very smart. This is very interesting. And then just rearranges the query and gets me all the data or information about the tokens I own. And then I can even go and say, generate an image of Rick and Morty. Not sure about the copyright here, but Anyways, we use some other models, not only ChatGPT for this. For this one, we use Stable Diffusion, which is open source, and it generates images. But not only that, but it also stores images on Arweave. So we're like covering the cost for all of these image generation to be stored on Arweave, ready to be minted, because then we want to mint a token with immutable data, right? So we can say, all right, now let's mint it on this contract. And it keeps the context. It knows exactly that I just generated an image, and will provide like a transaction for me to submit and mint a token. Yeah, this is about it. What's the future and the wallet, and why are we still like, what are the things we're looking for? This is one I'm very excited, especially because one of the biggest complaints we see in the industry right now is a lot of users get hacked, and generally they get hacked because they don't really know exactly what's going on under the hood, right? So they sign transactions, they connect to accounts. It's like, they're a button away from like the hacker or the developer stealing their funds. Not saying that this is happening everywhere, but there's definitely like, it's still a problem. And one of the ideas that we thought about is maybe introducing this into the wallet. And before you submit a transaction, maybe if you want to learn a bit more what's happening, you can just hit the button and say, hey, what's this about? And it will generate like a description on whatever you're signing. So you can, just read in your natural language, what you're doing to be safe. Mintbase grants is starting soon. We just started reviewing projects recently. So if you're building, if you have some ideas, or you want to, do something regarding NFTs and the near NFT space and things like that, we're definitely open for you to submit a proposal. This would be on github.com/mintbase/grants-program. Proposal. I think we have 30 something up right now, and we're working hard to go through all of those and giving news about this stuff soon. So thank you very much. My name is Luis, but I go for Microchip GNU on all socials, and please follow us, both Mintbase and me.